Lynn Murray, thank you very much for joining us. You're from the group Don't Screen Us Out. You don't think that this new test is a good thing, do you? Just explain why.
Well, we're actually worried that screening is going to lead to a group of people being basically screened out of the population before they're born once we find out that they happen to have Down syndrome. Now, this new test is going to seem to be easier for people, and we're worried that people will, maybe not take the issue as seriously when they decide to embark on screening. And the worrying thing is that when the Scottish Government carried out research last year, they found that 2/3 of women, pregnant women, knew very little about Down syndrome. They knew what it was, but they didn't have an in-depth knowledge. So we're worried that the sort of routinisation of a seemingly easier test will lead to more people entering screening and more people being deciding to terminate, perhaps without having full knowledge about Down syndrome.
So you think that the level of abortions will rise. Can I just be clear on something, though? I mean, do you not agree with screenings at all? Do you not think that parents should be able to find out whether or not their baby has Down syndrome before it's born?
We don't say that there shouldn't be screening, but what we say is if you're going to have screening, it should be done in a 21st century fashion. Screening is quite a few decades old now, and we really need an urgent inquiry into the purposes and whether it in fact is fit for purpose.
So sorry, what do you mean a 21st century fashion? I mean, what would you like to see done that isn't being done right now?
Well, we would like to see the government assess the impacts that screening is having on the Down syndrome population. It's a bit like the Emmerdale thing. We would like to see for people to think about people with Down syndrome here and the effects that this is having on them. It is called Down syndrome screening. And you heard, a parent there tell you about her son being bullied. So there are a lot of misconceptions around what Down syndrome is. So we really need to train staff, give them mandatory training, have more awareness raising. The government has to do that at a national level. People have to go into screening knowing what they are screening for, knowing more about it.
If you are right, and this new, more routine and the government say less invasive screening does lead to more people terminating their babies, what do you think that will do for the Down syndrome community in Scotland? I mean, you mentioned a little bit there about stigma.
It will have a profoundly negative effect on them. And what they found in England last year from a small survey of a group of hospitals that had introduced NIPT was that births had fallen by 30% in these hospitals. So we're looking at a similar situation happening here in Scotland unless we take immediate action to introduce the right reforms.
OK, Lynn Murray from Don't Screen Us Out, thank you so much for your time in the programme this evening.